In most current computing environments, there is a heterogeneous combination of Windows and Linux computer systems. As with Windows clients, we can easily join modern Linux systems to a Windows Active Directory domain. This is accomplished with two primary technologies: System Security Services Daemon, SSSD, and Samba WinBind. We will join Debian, Red Hat, and SUSE-based Linux distributions. Ubuntu 24.04.1 LTS will represent Debian-based distributions. Oracle Linux Server 9.5 will represent Red Hat-based distributions. And OpenSUSE Leap 15.6 will represent SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. Open or log into a terminal. As with Windows clients, first ensure your DNS servers are the same as those provided by your Windows domain and that they can successfully resolve the domain name using NSLookup. If you cannot resolve the domain name, you cannot join the domain. Change your Linux hostname to include the domain suffix. Install the following packages: for Ubuntu and Debian-based distributions, for Red Hat-based distributions. Although we ensure DNS can resolve the domain name, check to see if the system can discover the domain using realm discover. The configured field should read no. Now, we can join a domain with realm join, specifying the user with permissions to join computers to the Windows domain. Important: if the domain controllers are running Windows Server 2025, you must use Samba WinBind by specifying the membership software equals Samba option. Due to Servers 2025's enhanced encryption, relying on SSSD to join the domain will result in an error indicating that the computer account password could not be set. Check using realm list. Now, the configured field should read Kerberos member. For Ubuntu and Debian-based distributions, we use the Pluggable Authentication Module, PAM, to have Linux create home directories for domain users. Type sudo pam-auth-update to enter the PAM configuration. Enable Create Home Directory on login and select OK. For Red Hat-based distributions, PAM is not necessary to create home directories for domain users. That's it. Your Linux workstation is now an Active Directory domain join client that will authenticate domain users against a domain controller. To log in, you can use the domain user's user principal name. Likewise, you can use the legacy NetBIOS domain name followed by a backslash. As with Debian, Ubuntu, and Red Hat, we'll use SSSD to authenticate to the domain. Open or log in to a terminal. Ensure your DNS servers can successfully resolve the Active Directory domain name using NSLookup. Change your Linux hostname to include the domain suffix and verify when completed. Open YAST. Navigate to Security and Users, User and Group Management. In YAST, hitting Alt plus the highlighted letter will open or select that section. Open Authentication Settings, Configure, SSSD. Install any necessary packages when prompted. Verify settings. Identity domains should read only use local authentication at this point. Select Change Settings. Check Allow domain user login, create home directory, and select Add Domain. Enter the domain name and select Microsoft Active Directory for identity and user authentication. Check Cache credentials for offline use. Enter the credentials of a domain user with rights to add computers to the domain. When successful, you will see enrollment has completed successfully. Disregard the unable to perform DNS update. When you look in DNS, you may see that the record was created and updated correctly. Hit Alt+O for OK on all screens to return to the YAST Control Center and exit. To log in, you can use the domain user's user principal name or the legacy NetBIOS domain name. On an administrative workstation or server with remote server administration tools installed, use either Active Directory Users and Computers or Active Directory Administrative Center to view the newly joined Linux workstations. Right now, they are located in the default Computers container. In a later video, we'll move computer accounts into organizational units where they can be managed better. When interrogating a Windows computer's properties, you will see basic information such as the DNS and OS names. You'll see the same information when looking at a Linux computer, albeit the OS name is vague and the OS version field is typically blank. Take note of the DNS name. Click Extensions, select the Attribute Editor tab. Click the Filter button and select the top two options to see all attributes that have values. Open DNS Manager, expand Forward Lookup Zones, and open the Domain Zone. You should see the Linux records there. For the DNS records to update dynamically, setting the Linux host name to include the domain is important. Open a PowerShell session or terminal. Use the get-AD-computer commandlet to see all computer attributes. Use the get-DNS server resource record commandlet to view the DNSA records. Later, we'll cover granting domain users SSH and sudo access based on the user's Active Directory group memberships. I hope you enjoyed this video, learned something new about Linux and Windows interoperability, and found it valuable and entertaining. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any feedbacks, corrections, or suggestions. Please like, subscribe, and pass it on to others. And I thank you for watching.